Welcome back to the Market Authority Show. I am your host, Stefanie Lugo, and today we're doing something a little different. We've done this before, but it's been a while. We are doing an Ask Me Anything. Let me ask you, are you following me on Instagram? You should. I am at Bryce and Stefanie. The link to that is in the show notes, and all the times I'm sharing new updates on what's coming out on the podcast, what's on my YouTube channel, and I'm sharing helpful tips with you in the stories, as well as my broadcast channel for realtor resources. It's called the Market Authority Broadcast Channel. You can find it on my bio on Instagram. Shameless plug, I know. But here I am, ready to answer your questions from the Ask Me Anything that I posted on the stories. So I'm super excited to get to this. I'm going to be asking you questions in no one given order. And if I am missing a question that you would love to have answered, send me a message on the stories. I can absolutely give you a little bit of tips or point you in the right direction there. Okay, so here's the first question that we're going to get into. How long did it take you to have a consistent pipeline after you put your systems in place? This is really interesting. So in the Market Authority Academy, we are helping real estate agents put systems in place to streamline their operations, focus on the stuff that matters, and really help them get to that next level in their real estate business. And what we find is you can actually see a complete turnaround in where your business is heading as soon as you put systems in place. Because systems are not just like systems are kind of a sexy, buzzy word right now in business. But at the end of the day, a system is simply a workflow or a habit or a routine. And if you put the right routines in place, it will help you focus on doing the right activities that can very quickly fill up your pipeline with new clients. And so one story that I want to kind of highlight is Karen Ann. So in the Market Authority Academy, I'm the coach. I'm like the main gal behind the scenes. But there's also Karen Ann, who's like my right-hand gal. Karen Ann is a producing real estate agent out of Georgia, and I've been coaching her for years, like 6 years now in business. And Karen Ann is a genius in a lot of different areas. And one way that she really is super effective in her business is she just does the work. Like when she is kind of buckling down and following the right steps, she's going to get it done, no excuses. And I love that about Karen Ann. And anytime Karen Ann is feeling like she needs to drum up business a little bit in her real estate market, because she's also a producing real estate agent, she just follows the systems and then almost immediately sees a giant return in her production. And so after the summer last year, she had taken some time to enjoy time with her family and go on vacation, do whatever she was doing. And then her kids finally went back to school in the fall. And once her kids went back into school in the fall, she was kind of looking at her pipeline and she thought, man, I got to pick it up a little bit. And so she spent about 6 weeks really following the plan, doing the marketing, doing the lead generation, and just cleaning up her workflows. And by the start of the year, she had like 9 deals in escrow that she was closing. And she has been absolutely off the hook busy this year in her real estate business, which is a testament because while she is out there closing deals, she's also giving us feedback and sharing what she's finding works the best in her real estate business with us in the Market Authority Academy. And I just share that as one example only because it's not me. Because a lot of times I feel like when I'm sharing like what works for me, sometimes agents take it with a grain of salt and they'll say, oh, well, that's Stefanie. It can't be the same for me. You can just look to people like Karen Ann and other people in the Market Authority Academy who are seeing very similar incredible results. Because at the end of the day, systems can fill up your pipeline very quickly, like within 90 days or less, because it's a simple fact of focusing on the right things in your business to lead to the results that you want to see. Okay, so here is another question. This one I got was, what is your follow-up for new buyers from new lead to under contract? That's really interesting. So we're implementing something a little bit different this year, given the NAR settlement rules. So new lead, new inquiry comes in. The first thing that we need to do is set an appointment. This is going to be like the main thing that's changed for us recently. So we have to set an appointment. And if they are any colder than a warm referral or a repeat client, what we're actually doing is starting with a discovery call. So we're starting with a discovery call, which means we're hopping on the phone to allow them to vet us and also for us to vet that client. The reason we're doing this is because we are going to have to get an employment agreement signed so much earlier on in the process than we usually do. Now, with the NAR settlement rules, we have to obviously have an employment agreement in place before we even show a house in most instances. And that's a big ask for a lot of clients. So because of that, we're implementing this discovery call that is going to start with like just getting them on the phone. Okay, tell me about your plans. Tell me about what it is you're looking to do. And then if it seems like we can help, we'll share next steps. Once we determine it's a good fit both ways, then we schedule an actual buyer consultation or a pre-listing appointment. That's when we're getting that face-to-face in. We're having like a very detailed actual buyer consultation, doing the whole thing. And at that point, hopefully getting the employment agreement in place. Once we have that successful buyer consultation, it's then just a matter of follow-up, right? So let's say we need a little extra follow-up and they're not actually ready to start looking for homes. Well, then all we need to do is just put them into our CRM and establish the right follow-up cadence. If they are looking to go the next 6 months without really looking for homes, but they want to start getting their financials in a row, we might be connecting them with a lender and then just reaching out to them pretty consistently every 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how far out they are. If they're ready to go and they need to get pre-qualified and they want to go look at homes, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get them pre-qualified with a lender they trust or one that we refer to them, and then just start the process. And at that point, we are in communication with them every week, and that communication is a little bit more organized as far as connecting them with homes and scheduling showings, not just checking in and making sure they're getting their ducks in a row. But basically, what you want to avoid in general when you have a new lead and you're getting them to under contract, what you will never hear us say is, okay, peace out, let us know when you're ready. That is not language that we're ever using. So if you see some of my more recent videos on my YouTube channel where I'm sharing like some really great rules for follow-up and some good follow-up scripts, you might have seen ones that I've shared where I'm saying like specifically how we set up that next touch point. So after every follow-up, let's say we get done with the buyer consultation and we find that they're about 6 months out from being ready to make a move. We're going to say, okay, great. So since you're 6 months out, it's really pertinent to speak to a lender at this point, just to make sure that you can open the conversation. You don't have to do the full pre-qualification if you're not quite ready yet, but talk to the lender so that you have an understanding of what to expect from their point of view. We will connect you with them, and then we will touch base with you next Thursday after you've had a chance to speak to them. Does that sound like a plan? So it's very much us directing the next steps. That's the most important key to getting new leads to under contract. Okay, here's a really great question that I got. What is something that you wish you knew when starting your real estate career? So I actually knew nothing getting into real estate. We were that typical story of my husband and I hated our 9-to-5. Well, I guess he didn't hate it. I definitely hated my 9-to-5. And we decided we wanted to get into business together. And he thought real estate would be a great way to break into our own business. His grandpa was in real estate, and so he had a little bit of that sense of what to expect, but he and I really had no idea what we were getting into. And so I guess I wish that I had a little bit more of an understanding of how long it takes sometimes to get really ramped up in real estate if you don't have a plan. We did not have a whole lot of a plan. We did start a business plan, and maybe I'm selling ourselves short a little bit because we did a lot of things right in that first year, and we were able to almost immediately replace our 9-to-5 incomes, both of us, that first year, which was huge and not always the case. But so much of it was learning on the fly, which is a really hard place to be in. And so I wish that I understood how much I didn't know, and I wish that I had a better plan in place and one that I didn't have to just create as I went. And that's ultimately why I created the Market Authority Academy from that experience, was as we were going through the process, and especially having come from corporate finance, like corporate America, where everything is dialed into specific SOPs, standard operating procedures, I couldn't believe that nothing for the real estate test actually prepared you for the reality of running a real estate business. And so in that way, it was a really rude awakening. And we ultimately had to create our business foundation from the ground up. And what I found was it was so unnecessary because somebody could have just given me the plan and I could have implemented it and saved a lot of money and a lot of stress and a lot of tears, like crying on the bathroom floor moments, you know? And that's why I do what I do in the Market Authority Academy, because I took that plan that just works really well and the main systems that just thrive in just about any real estate business, and I've built that into a blueprint that I can help coach real estate agents through implementing in their own business. So if that sounds like something that you need help with, check out the show notes where you can book a call with me and my team to learn about the Market Authority Academy. That's my signature coaching program, and that is where we are helping you implement a proven business blueprint. And what's really interesting to me about this is a lot of times I'm working with real estate agents who have like 5, 10, 15, 20 years under their belts who haven't implemented a plan. And that was something that we recognized really early on, was that there were a lot of experienced agents who were just totally winging it. That was not going to work for me. And so that is the answer to that question. Here's an interesting one. Do you organize client files outside of SkySlope/dot loop? And if so, how are they organized? This is an interesting one. So we actually organize all of our files in Google Drive. Obviously, we use Transaction Desk, right? And that's just what we do just as far as delivering files to the broker. But in terms of our own files, we keep all of that in DocuSign. And recently in the Market Authority Academy, we were having this conversation with a member who said, you know, Stefanie, I feel like I'm just juggling a lot. I've got Dropbox, I've got Google Drive, I've got Asana. We obviously have to use Transaction Desk, all this stuff. I just need to not have to manage my business out of so many platforms. And I said, well, why are you using Dropbox and Google Drive? They kind of do the same thing. They said, well, I don't know. We just have always used Dropbox to file our contract documents for every transaction. It's just what we use. And I said, well, why don't you stop? Consolidate it. It makes no sense to pay for two platforms that are doing the same thing. And so we're always looking for ways to streamline that way. And what we do is we have our Google Drive folders set up really strategically. Bryce is an absolute genius when it comes to this kind of filing system. And what he does is we have a transaction folder in our Google Drive, and then it's broken down by year. And then after by year, in each year folder, we have the client name. And then under client name, we have every subject property where they're either under contract for or writing an offer or listing. And this is really helpful for us because most of our clients that they're purchasing, a lot of times they are writing more than one offer on a property until one gets accepted. I mean, not always, but you know how it is. And a lot of our clients are selling a property and buying a property at the same time. And so it makes the most sense to have those subject properties under the client name instead of just a ton of different folders with addresses that are just thrown in there without a system. And so that's why we use Google Drive. And also we find that Google Drive is one of the most affordable storage options for digital storage, file storage. And also, if I could say one more thing about Google Drive, we manage all of our other business assets out of that. So we use Google Docs for any Word-based documents. We send our welcome guide or any of our buyer and seller guides via PDF through Google Drive links because they are massive files. Anytime we have spreadsheets to monitor our metrics or track our clients, we are using Google Sheets. So it's kind of like a catch-all that offers an amazing organization solution for your real estate business. I really can't recommend it enough. Okay, so this next question is kind of a doozy, and it says, how are you organizing everything related to the backend admin organization? And how does that work once you hire a VA? So let me answer this in a couple of different ways. From the very start of your business, we had to learn this the hard way. You want to begin documenting all of your SOPs, and SOP is like a standard operating procedure. Imagine that as a text-based checklist, right? So imagine an SOP, the first time you might write it, is with a clipboard and a piece of paper. And let's say you're trying to document your client onboarding SOP. So what happens when you're bringing on a new client? You might write down every single step. So you're holding this clipboard with you as you are setting the appointment. So you write down, okay, set the appointment. How am I setting the appointment? Okay, I'm sending the Calendly link. I'm scheduling it on our calendars. I'm sending the confirmation email. I'm sending the client welcome guide. I'm hosting the client consultation, right? You're making every single indication of each step in between. From there, you then look at that piece of paper where you've written down all of your SOPs, and you need to put it into a format that is easy to edit and keep track of and also collaborate with. That's really important. Collaboration is super key, and that's also why we love Google Drive. So we take that SOP, we upload it into a Google Doc, which is kind of like a Word document from Microsoft Word, but it's Google's version of it. And we write down all the steps. We indicate which communications are templated. So for example, if there's an email template that goes along with one of the steps, we are linking to it in that Google Doc. And what we then are able to do is have all of those SOPs for every workflow in our business detailed. Now you can and should be doing this even as a solo agent or a small duo or partnership. Because what it allows you to do is, number one, track what's working the best. So if at any point something in your business breaks because you have deviated from the plan, you can go back to what you know works. So for example, let's say you have your SOP for lead generation and marketing, and then you decide to pivot. You want to try something new this year. Maybe over time you've been really successful with referrals and database like SOI deals, but you want to start implementing paying for internet leads. And so you do this big experiment, you pay a lot of money for internet leads, and it doesn't really turn out how you want it to go. You want to go back to your other way of doing business. Well, cool. Now you know, and you have a record for exactly what worked at one time. Okay. So that's like number one, why you want to have those SOPs already documented. But that's going to have everything organized almost like a business manual. And you need to have a business manual. Like if you go to any job, they're going to, for the most part, give you a set of instructions to follow to be successful in your role. And the more that you are detailing that in your business, the more you find that you are managing business and orchestrating business, not just winging it. But what it does is that's also going to allow you to have that training manual to hire based off of. So let's say you're going to hire a VA. Do you know what you want that VA to do for you specifically? Because if you go to a VA hiring agency, which we use an agency to hire our VAs, we're in the process of hiring a second one right now, they're going to say, well, what specific details do you have for this job posting so we can match you with the right candidate? You can't say, well, I don't know, I just need them to work really hard. Like, okay, on what? Like, what skills do you need for someone to be successful in that role? What skills are going to match up with the work? You can see that if you already have a business manual or a bunch of documented SOPs that you can literally just hand over to somebody, it's going to give you your training plan. It's going to help you understand who you need to hire based off of, and that person is going to know when their work is done. This is super important because in having those SOPs, you're able to give somebody the tools to be successful, which means they're going to be happier and thrive in your role. You're going to have less turnover, and they're going to help your business be more successful. So again, we take all of those docs, and that's why we start with just documenting SOPs, and we organize them in Google Drive as text-based documents, Google Docs. Anytime we need to automate that or keep that a little bit more organized for task management, we're just taking those same docs and like those SOPs, and we might find that specific workflows work better to delegate in Asana. So that's when we're going to take those specific things. And if we find that Asana is going to help everybody stay on track and stay more accountable to getting things done, that's when we're going to upload those workflows to Asana and make sure to assign specific tasks to that VA individual in Asana. Sometimes you might find it's redundant. If so, you just don't use Asana for whatever you thought was redundant in it. But it all starts with documenting your SOPs in Google Drive, because then you can make decisions based off of, well, I need a better task management system to manage this big project. Or, well, now that I have multiple agents underneath me, I need a way to keep them all accountable for getting the right stuff done. This is a solution that I need for that. At the end of the day, if you want to stay organized, you start small and you start with free solutions. And Google Docs is pretty close to free, not quite. And that's where you want to start with getting organized. that you can then build off of to hire and manage a more robust team off of. Long answer to the question, but I felt like the context was important. What eyebrow pencil do you use? I'm not going to answer that one. So this question was, why do you suggest not reading email first thing, and how do you manage your email? I actually don't think it's productive to start your day with email. And the reason for that is because we get so many real estate related emails. When I'm starting my day, the first thing that I want to do is control the things that I can control, which is how I'm bringing business in. I want to make sure that I am actively bringing in business, like generating leads, so that my pipeline remains full and I don't experience any big dips in production. That way, my business is always growing, right? But if I'm starting my day with something like email, I get into the inbox and I see a bunch of like spam emails I want to clear out. And then a bunch of just like random stuff that needed replies. And I'm responding to email because it feels productive and it feels busy and it feels good. Then a lot of times I am doing two things. Number one, solving other people's problems before I solve my own, which is always self-sabotaging. Like, that's not a good look. But it's also begetting more email. So as you're sitting there processing your inbox and responding to emails, you're getting more responses on top of that. And then it's like a never-ending cycle. And so here's what I do for email instead as a real estate agent. What I'm going to do is start up my day with a quick glance on the inbox. I'm going to make sure that there's nothing earth-shattering in there that I have to be on top of right away. If there's something that we can delegate between my husband and I, we do that. If there's something that we can bring in a transaction coordinator for, which you should probably have a transaction coordinator, then we're going to lean on like delegation for that. Otherwise, as long as nothing crazy is happening, after that cursory glance of the inbox, I'm diving directly into my lead generation routine. Because again, my number one duty, like the number one responsibility that we have, is to ensure that business is still coming in. That's it. Anything else is bogus. Okay, the last question that I'm going to ask is, how do I build clientele? There are over 400 agents in my business, and most of them have been in the business for 10 years. How do I build my client base? I have 40,000 plus licensees in my market, so I know a thing or two about competition. So when you're wanting to differentiate yourself from other clients, or from other agents rather, and attract more clients, you have to focus on going deep with your clients, not wide. And here's what I mean. A lot of times you are so desperate to like start getting deals in that you will do whatever it takes to get in front of whatever client you can. Anybody who looks like they might be interested in buying or selling any kind of real estate, even if it's outside of your scope. And what happens when you do that, when you take that like really wide approach and you're going to just help anybody with any real estate problem, is nobody has a compelling reason to hire you. People are going to hire you based off of convenience because you're there and accessible, but that doesn't really create a cause for loyalty, which means you are going to get passed over more likely. So that's just not a good look. And it's not a helpful way to grow a thriving real estate business. So if you're looking to build your clientele, my suggestion for you is to get very specific on the clients that you're looking to attract. Okay, you are not looking for anybody who's just looking to buy or sell real estate in the state of Arizona. You are looking for people who are looking to purchase their first home, like first-time home buyers in the city of Phoenix, for example. And you're getting a lot more specific because what that's going to do is help you create a more targeted and direct marketing message that's going to convert a lot easier. That way you're not screaming to the masses. Instead, you're just speaking directly to who you need to speak to, and you give them a much more compelling reason to hire you over your competition. The people in your business who have been in business, or the people in your market who have been in business for 10 years, their people are just hiring them not based off of experience, but because of the relationship there. So the more quickly you can start having those direct conversations and start building relationships, the more likely it is that you're going to be able to build a rock solid clientele of clients who are clients for life. Side note, we direct an entire module in the Market Authority Academy curriculum to that specifically. So if you need help on that process, learning how to stand out, create an irresistible brand, and understanding how to market to clients in a way where they'll actually listen to you, then definitely book a call with me and my team to learn about the Market Authority Academy, and we'll share how we help you do that with our coaching program. Ooh boy, that was a crazy Ask Me Anything. Any other questions that you may have, send them my way. If this was fun, maybe we'll do it again. Hit me up on Instagram at Bryce and Stefanie and send me a message if you want to see something specific. I hope that you found this helpful. This was kind of a wide-ranging conversation on a couple of random different things. It's a random show. I love to do it. Hope you enjoyed this too. Let me know if you did. Otherwise, thanks so much as always for tuning in. Until next time, keep on crushing it, my friend.